Alright, hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Solar Systems, where we help you understand the system your soul goes into. And today we're going to be talking about your Neptune placement. Now, more specifically, we're going to be talking about your Neptune in Sagittarius placement. Now, before we get into it, you already know we have to break down the individual aspects of it before we bring it back together. Now, specifically talking about Neptune, you guys know the planet of Neptune. It's the ruler of the sea, the ruler of the ocean, and esoterically speaking, if we break down the planets into a little family, Neptune is the grandpa, right? It's the planet that actually gives you the visibility to see the sea. It gives you advice, elder nurturing, a little bit of spoiling, and it shows you a lot of dreams and visions of what could be, just like a grandma. Now, with this placement being such a powerful placement and actually one of the outer planets, it doesn't exactly have a direct influence the inner planets would. The inner planets are everything Saturn to the Sun, and the outer planets are everything from Uranus all the way through Pluto. So that would be Uranus, Neptune, then Pluto. But we're speaking about this middle planet here that actually has some kindness for you and actually wants to help you and give you the dreams and show you the possibility of what could be. Now, as I mentioned, this is the planet of dreams, illusions, creativity, as well as nightmares, right? So depending on how you're vibing dictates how and what it will show to you. So what is a dream? A dream is basically a vision that can happen during the day as well as while you sleep. They're much more vivid while you sleep, and they're much more direct while it's at nighttime, and you actually have time to sit back and reflect. However, it is not the most direct means of communication, right? And it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be a visual representation of how you're vibrating, what you're resonating with, and showing what's going on. Now, before we get a little too deep into the breakdown of Neptune, let's dive into dreams a little bit. So, essentially, when you dream, there are two types of dreams. There are these out of this world dreams that are kind of not as vivid, hard to grasp onto, and you really not even remember them at times. And there are these very vivid dreams. Now, the vivid dreams are essentially what you are visualizing a lower vessel inside of yourself, such as a blood cell or a cell inside of a certain organ. And sometimes they may be the actual organ within their own body. Now, you may not experience them the way your higher vessels see it, so you're not looking at an organ or your liver being like, yeah, process that alcohol, or your kidneys being, don't create no stones now. It shows you a situation that you would understand the way you and your higher chakras see it and see all the other things, right? So it basically shows you like a normal situation you'll be in. It may have people you know, people you don't know, experiences that are familiar to you, locations that are familiar to you, so on and so forth, right? But essentially, it's creating a caricature or an actual synopsis of what you're experiencing via that specific organ amongst the masses, right? For instance, if you are having trouble processing poisons or poisonous information to you, you may be dreaming through your liver, you may be dreaming through all of these experiences, and these are what's very vivid, and your body's trying to tell you what's going on in a ways that it hopes is direct. However, if you don't take any note or account of your dreams, it may not be as direct as your subconscious may hope it was, getting to your actual conscious. I say this to say that this is what it actually feels like to have your internal Neptune trying to help and visualize things to you. So pay attention to where that's placed and what sign it's placed so it can show you how it is showing you whatever it's showing you. Now, in terms of your external Neptune, this is what helps you process that higher energy, that higher chakra things. So this is what actually deals with the external world. So whatever you're experiencing, and if you actually are dreaming and your spirit is dipping out of your body, extracting information with the sea, this is what actually deals with the external Neptune as well as the higher version of your internal Neptune placements. So when doing this, Neptune on a grand scale within your own body will show you a lot of external things and sort of be dealing with your subconscious, and it may not even come to your conscious light, which is why you don't actually remember these dreams and they seem so out of this world, because it literally is out of this world, and with your mind and your mentality being processed for this world, you can't exactly process what's going on, which is why it may be so far out, and it's more or less your spirit helping you prep the day before an actual experience so you can train for something and get prepared for something that you actually want to do. So with that being said, your external Neptune may operate with your unconscious and subconscious side, so it won't be a direct connection, and it'll just be something like, wow, what happened last night? And then suddenly you have the necessary skills and are more prepared for what you're actually experiencing in the next day, which is what you can apply your Neptune for. Now, when talking about Neptune in a grand scale, Neptune amongst the actual stars and what we're experiencing outside of what you have placed within your own body and your own solar system, this is basically what gives the grand vision of certain generations. So this is why you consider all of these outer planets generational planets. Because, for example purposes, a lot of kids in the Gen Z and millennial generation are experiencing Neptune in Pisces as well as Neptune in Aquarius. So these two energies make them very fixated on what their dreams should be, and they are also very fixated amongst the collective. So this is why all of these generations have a lot of individual ideas, very strong ideas, and they are very strong-willed with where they end up working and the dreams they have for themselves. And they are very common and they are unique in a generational sense. However, they are rather uncreative because they are so fixated on what they think is right, which is why a lot of people in the Neptune in Aquarius generation that are around the age of 20 during this 2022 era are very open to quitting, and they are not exactly of the ideology of the older generation that was just happy to have a job and work on their car on a Saturday, right? So that's basically the gist on Neptune, giving you an idea of how it operates in a generational sense, internal sense, as well as dealing with the external sense when you're extracting information for your personal uses, right? Now as we move on, let's actually break down Sagittarius. So moving on, Sagittarius is the mutable fire sign, and it is adaptable and changeable to different ways of visualizing and feeling things. So with that being the case, this energy is actually quite lazy and likes to have a lot of options and rather experience those options rather than actual going out and picking one experience to have. So it's actually very good for these generational planets because they don't exactly get to act that much. So when they are in a position to actually act on things, this energy fits in quite perfectly. But a little more on Sagittarius. So if you were to visualize the actual fire signs, Aries would be a fireball, Leo would be a fixed fire, such as like a fireplace, and you could look at Sagittarius as any situation where you have a ring of tiki torches where light is coming from multiple directions and you can do multiple things. And it likes staying in the space of different options and different opportunities rather than just picking one. Because if it were to pick one, it would have a lot less illumination, a lot less potential, and a lot less experience that it could potentially have. However, it still has none because it doesn't actually pick and choose something very often, which is why some of these signs can be lazy. Now, when we actually merge these two together, Neptune and Sagittarius is great, if not excellent for Neptune, because it actually gives a lot of options to individual dreams and visions. So this is why it's great to actually be an outer planet, because if you were to experience this all the time, it is quite overwhelming with the potential for what you could attract into your life. So when you actually are dreaming with this energy and you are dreaming with this sign, not only do you have dreams, but you have inception-like dreams that show you different layers and different levels of how each individual aspect of your dreams could be. So if we take it back to the example of dreams that are within your body and extremely vivid, not only are you dreaming from, say, your liver, your stomach, or your kidneys, you are dreaming about the same experience that each individual organ is going through from the perspective of all the other organs, which is why you may have multi-layered dreams, multifaceted dreams, and sometimes you may actually dream all of them at the same time, which makes it hard to compute and actually process what's going on. However, it gives you a different vision of what could be. So if you think your in-body vivid dreams are crazy, think about how crazy the dreams that you are unconscious of are. You can only imagine the potential of what you're actually experiencing and the different variations of how things could go. So, theoretically speaking, when your Neptune in Sagittarius is directing you towards your external dreams and actually dipping into the spirit realm and extracting information for you to digest and actually have support you in your day-to-day life for whatever you want to do, and if you actually do want to apply this in a more intentional sense, I would recommend that you actually take the time before bed to detail an experience that you're going through, prepare the day before, and actually have the dream world support you in this. But exercises aside, the depth of what your dreams could be in the unconscious and subconscious realm are probably as dynamic as one could possibly imagine, which is literally what this energy does. It could not only have multi-layers, multi-meanings, and then multi-different visualizations that may flash throughout certain daydreams if you're having a little deja vu moment, but it could also make the movie Inception look like Dora the Explorer, if you feel what I'm saying. So, with that being said, let's segue on to what an external Neptune and Sagittarius person does for their life and what this generation may look like. So, in a generational sense, the Neptune and Sagittarius generation is probably quite open to the possibilities of what could be. They're very open to what's happening. However, they're not exactly as active on what could be as the Neptune in Libra or the Neptune in Scorpio generation could be. They're kind of the birth of these two things with the summer of love, so on and so forth, things like that. And they're a little bit after that. So they're more or less experiencing the benefits of what their forefathers actually fought for. So these people are literally the first generation within our modern age to actually have the opportunity to pick and choose what they want to do and do it the way that they would like to do it, right? So this is a very open generation. They're a very cool generation. However, there are not being very many examples of people doing what they do and actually accomplishing what they want to accomplish. There isn't a set path. So for a sign like Sagittarius that is wishy-washy and likes to have their opportunities open, but their potential for actually experiencing closed because they don't want to let go of the actual feeling of opportunity, they sort of stick to the predefined paths and just do it in a much more creative way. So for example purposes, these people will stick to finance, stick to accounting, stick to law, stick to natural sciences. However, they will expand much more on what that field actually means, which is why these people are leaders in their field, they're innovators in their field, and they are showing a new way to do something within a pre-existing path, because at the end of the day, it still is backed and supported by fear because no one else has exactly done something new before. So that being said, guys, let's actually recap what we learned about Neptune and Sagittarius. So we learned that Neptune is a very dreamlike sign. It applies to dreams internally, whether that be extremely vivid dreams that are a detailed representation and visualization of what your lower chakras and your actual individual organs and other parts of your body are going through. They have the unconscious and subconscious dreams that you kind of get little flashes of and don't exactly remember the full detailed breakdown of it. And they also deal with the external actual Neptune in the sky that details the generational aspect of how it affects the people under its influence, right? So with this being the case, Neptune in Sagittarius is a very open and expansive sign. However, it doesn't really like to actually expand and create a new experience. It more or less wants to keep its opportunities open and operate in a big fish in a little pond type of manner where it can see all of the opportunities within a predefined field and sort of have its little cynical natures of, oh, I can do this better, oh, I see a better way to do this, and yet they stay within the same field because they don't exactly want to step out of the box, lose all of that opportunistic feeling, and create something new. Save that for Aries, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, guys, that's Neptune and Sagittarius for you. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.